tonight because I learned faith from what Ben Fitzgerald was talking about, a praying mother. And one night, I was in my room, and we were in the middle of a situation, about to be evicted. A lot of you know my story, been homeless before, but we were about to be evicted, and I heard my mom crying in the middle of the night, and I wondered what was up, so I got up out of my bed, and I went over to her room, and I thought she was, going through something was wrong. And so the door was cracked, and I pushed it open just to see what was wrong with Mom. And the crying that I heard wasn't the kind of crying that I thought it was. She was kneeling next to the bed, thanking God for his faithfulness. Even though she may not see the situation changing, she was declaring, God, you're still good, and I thank you for what we do have. We may not have all that we've been asking for, but we thank you that we have everything that we need because we have you, Jesus. And I declare that Jesus is all that you need tonight. I declare Jesus is all that you need. He never stops working. Yeah! Even when I don't see it, you're working.
Testing. All right. So I grew up here, and among that, I lived in a household full of drugs and violence, and it was kind of a part of my life early on. And as time went by, I watched my mama go through many men, and we've moved around. You know, I probably lived in every house around this little town right here, right? And most of the time would stay at friends' houses because I couldn't go home, or mama didn't want me to see her, you know, getting herself in trouble, beat up or something. So I did pretty good in school until I just didn't care no more, and then I just kind of gave up, and I went, you know, around a bunch of older people, and as they call it, I jumped off the porch, and I never looked back. So with all that happening, you know, I would get to fighting, and my mama's boyfriends would beat me up a little bit because I'd try to fight them, and I wasn't, you know, knee-high to a grasshopper, as they say, so I wasn't much. And this went on for a long time, man. And finally I moved in with my nanny, and she tried to help me, and she couldn't. And school was getting crazy, and at this point I was 14, I was getting locked up. And, you know, so I was learning a different education then when I was getting locked up, right? So as the time I got out, by the time I was 16, I thought I was a grown man. I had my own place. I was doing big things, but I really won't. And it took me down a path that I regret to this day, really. And so with all this going on, my mom still, you know, she's drinking real heavy. She's done tried to kill herself. She's done, like, lost her mind, so to speak, to alcohol and drugs. And she had no self-worth, and I tried to help her as much as I could, but I just, as a young kid, had to help myself. I had to feed myself, clothe myself, a lot of things that you don't find yourself at an early age doing. I had to do that. So, and then as time went on, man, you know, my mom had this one boyfriend. He came over, and I'll never forget this day because it changed my life. And he come over real drunk one day, and I tried to tell my mama, like, Mama, nah, you know, I don't let him in. I kick him off, and he comes back. Kick him out, he comes back. So he comes back, he's drinking and shit. He's treating my mama like, you know, like a bitch and a hoe and whatever you want to call it. And I couldn't handle that. You know, I've been raised by women, so it bothered me somewhat to be that way. And as time went by, it was me and a couple guys in there, and early on that evening, the police came, and they arrested a few of us, and whoever made it hung out at the house. And so later on that day, that guy, he wouldn't leave. He came back, and he started beating on my mama, and me and another guy got to fighting, and a tussle broke out, and he tried to stab one of us, and in the process, he ended up dying, getting stabbed, right? And this is a big thing. This is New Year's Day 2000, right? It ain't even 12 o'clock yet. And mind you, I've just come home. Things are crazy. I'm trying to get it together, and this happens. And this guy's bleeding out in my house, which is right around the corner here. It was, I'll never forget it. And so he's dying, the cops come, they all arrest us or whatever, and long story short, this guy dies in my house. My house makes the news. 2000 before 12 o'clock is the first murder of Richmond. And so I'm standing there in handcuffs and blood, and I'm downtown, and they're trying to fucking do what they do, right? And I'm not having it. And so I spend a little time, you know, behind all that. My mother goes to rehab while I'm doing that because my life has just gotten so unmanageable. And then fast forward a little bit, I'm older now. You know, I'm just came home again, and basically, man, I did not stop fucking up or try to until about a year ago. So my whole life's been, you know, drama, anything you can think of, man. These streets offer you. I probably did it. I did a lot of time. I did a lot of unthinkable things to people. You know what I mean? Really have. And in return, I got nothing but heartache and pain out of it. And so I ended up walking through these doors, man. And I'll be honest with you, I did not make it the first time. I just didn't. You know, I still had a lot of fuck it in me, right? And rules and me, we just don't get along, you know. And so I still had a little bit of that in me. And I got kicked out, right? And not much long goes by when you leave here, you think you got it made. If you leave here without the program helping you, you'll be back. I promise you. I came back. And again, I still had a little bit of fuck it and kiss my ass, and I ain't gonna do it. And I had to leave again. And all during these times, what happens while I leave here, I go on the run, I get locked up, I do some time, I come back. And that's a full circle for me, right? And this time I came here, man, and I talked to a few people who've worked here for a while, some people that's been through some shit, and they started giving me pieces of advice. And I started realizing that the McShin Foundation offers me these free educations to better myself, right? Because mind you, I didn't graduate. I never finished school, you know. I was done with school probably about 8th grade, you know. So for me, this was an honor, right? So I took what they offered me, and I utilized it, and I used it. And days where, you know, everything else is still happening, life's going to still go on, right? It's still going to happen to you. But through life, I still managed to live it on life's terms and get the things that this program offered me, right? And that's why I'm standing up here today, because I'm going to tell you right now, I've been the last person to stand up here about a year ago. And I'm still working on myself. I'm still working on a lot of things. But I've come to learn how to manage myself a little bit better by just taking advice and letting the program work itself through me, right? And it's paid off, man, for real. I'm happier. I got a few things, you know what I mean? And, you know, I ain't talking about material things, because that's anybody can get that, right? I'm talking about morals, right? I'm talking about things that last the rest of your life, you know? Education, better thoughts, things like that. That's what I got, right? Because if you're here thinking you're just going to get you a job and get your money and get you a car and get all that, you're coming back. You'll all be back, man. I promise you. You've got to somehow change the inside out, right? Because all those other things come and go, but you'll still be stuck with yourself. I promise you. And so with that being said, man, that's just a little insight on me and why I came here. And as y'all all know now, I work on the weekends. I'm a house leader down in McShin. I have 20 guys down there, right? Great group of guys, man, really. Most people think 20 guys is a motherfucker, but I'm going to tell you right now, 20 guys that come in a full circle, you can't really mess with them guys, right? We hold it together, and there's always going to be some bad apples in your bunch, man. You just got to get rid of them, right? As they say, find you a herd. And I found one, and it's working. So with that, man, that's just a little bit about myself. So I'm also aware that we have a young lady today that has 5 months. We'd like to give her a shout out. For all y'all know, 5 months is a long time, man. It's day by day in here, right? It ain't week by week, nothing. Sometimes it's minute by minute, depending on how you're feeling. So congratulations to you. All right, so now what I'd like to do, man, is this is a little offbeat, but we usually do some things that Walt likes to do, but I'm going to come up here, man. I've told a little bit about myself, man, and if y'all want to come up here, you can. If you want to share a little bit about yourself, anything you'd like to get off your chest, just something other than what you're used to doing is really what works for me when this program, right? Don't be afraid to do something different, right? Today's different. We don't have Walt in here, and we're not doing the breaking the bondage.
All right, so my name's Rich and I'm an addict. And I think a lot of people know some of my story, me and my wife. We ran for a long time, and a long time, with drugs, alcohol. But I can honestly say, when Kim and Scott, man, when they came, I just thank God every day that, they happened to come to Maine. Yeah, for sure. And she called my wife, Kim called my wife. I know that was God intervening. She asked if we knew about Project Hope. And my wife told her, yeah, we've heard of it. I tried to come here 2 years ago. I never told my wife this. But when I left for a while, went to this Waterville shelter, I was trying my hardest to come here. But they didn't have no beds for us, no beds available, they said. So what I knew best to do, I went back home and, I went running. I just started running all over again. When I got to the police station, I had a script of Ritalin, a script of Suboxone. I put it in the mailbox. Man, I was pissed off when I left. I told myself, I could have had, but the thing is, I'm truly grateful today, to be here. Second time around, the beds were available for, Scott and Kim, man. I can't thank them enough, man. They went out of their way, to, man, can't, wow, But the thing is, right, man, I shared this once before in a meeting. My wife was going to leave me 7 years ago because when I drank, I was a complete asshole, for real. I got up and that's what she was, it was crazy. And she said, you know what you did last night? Man, it's nuts. But the thing is that, I promised her that day, I said, I promise you I'll stop drinking today, and I did. That was 7 years ago, but I said, thank you. But, we ran with the coke and heroin for a lot of years, and just before we came here, me and my wife both OD'd. When she OD'd, oh man, I've never been so scared in my life, and I literally was trying to breathe life back into her. She was purple. She defecated on herself. I was trying to get her in the shower. Nobody would help me. The cops were there. I was screaming at him, help me, give me some Narcan. He tells me he's got no Narcan. He comes to a drug overdose with no Narcan, And I just knew, she wasn't responding to, when I breathed into her mouth, she would like a little bit, and I just, please hang on, baby. Never been so scared in my life, man. But the paramedics got there, they brought, they took her to the hospital. Her potassium was down to 1%. She was unresponsive. But that doctor, I thank God, it says in the Bible to treat strangers with kindness. because you never know when you're entertaining angels. But this lady knew exactly what to do. She covered the bed with ice. She had every nurse go get all the fans in the ER and lay my wife on top of it. Brought her temperature down. Got it, she was stable, but the thing is that she had to be on a vent, and I was hoping she was gonna be all right. So my wife, she hates when I touch her feet, and when she was sitting there, I just wanted to make sure and I just started tickling her foot, and she moved. So I said, thank you, but man, that was probably the hardest thing, besides my mother, my mother's passing, the hardest thing to go through. Man, I'll tell you, I never want to go through that again, and I'm not gonna. I thank God every day for being here at the McShin. Coley, man, you've been such a big help to me, man. Scott, man, I can't thank you guys enough, man, for what you've done for me. I've always, I shared this in a meeting, even when I was using, I never gave up the hope of prayer. I pray every night. Every night I pray, Man, I'm just truly grateful to be here today, man. I wish I could let each and every one of you see inside my heart right now and know how grateful I am to be here. Man, I'm telling you, man, I can't do this no more. Get ready to come on to 60 years old, smoking crack, can't do it, But I got 6 children, and 5 of them live in Massachusetts, and they want nothing to do with me. My oldest son came and found me in Maine, but my wife tried to contact my daughters, and I got 4 daughters and 2 sons, but yeah, they, I had my wife text them, and try to set up a visit. And at first, my middle daughter, she was scared, and she wanted to talk to her. She wanted to talk to her sisters about it. I knew right then and there, But that's something that over the years I've come to terms with. I accept it. I wasn't in their life for 30 years, doing time. I've done so much time, man. That's all I know. Even when I'm in prison, I ran drugs in prison. I did drugs in prison. When I got out of prison, thing is, man, there's a better way today. There's a better way today, and for me, I get up early in the morning. I seen you out there jogging, Willie, this morning, didn't I? Huh? Yeah. I get up early morning, and I strengthen my spiritual muscles. The physical muscles will come next month, but right now, this first 28 days, I'm concentrating, trusting in God, and I know He's got me and my wife. He's got all of us, like that song. He got the little itty bitty babies in His hands. Yeah, we're like little babies, in recovery. He got us. You just gotta trust Him, gotta trust Him. But so I wrote this poem 20 years ago when I was in prison, and God, He wrote it on my heart. And it goes like this. As I begin to wake and open my eyes, my enemy surrounds me as he whispers his lies. Now sin and darkness begin to close in. Shall I embrace my enemy and let death win? So you think that freak Jesus died so you might be set free? Oh, you foolish, pathetic man. He'll never forgive you. Just bow down and worship me. You're a drunk and a junkie. What would he possibly want with you? He'll be crawling back to me soon. You know it's true. Ripping at my flesh and tormenting my soul. The battle to stay is taking its toll. Some battles I win, some battles I lose, depending upon the path I choose. Today I choose to walk with God's Spirit in one accord. Today I choose my Savior, my King, Jesus Christ, my Lord. You know, and I've never, yeah, thank you. You know, I know it works for me. I know it works for me. You know, and I give him praise every morning, bright and early. And I thank him for being here. I'm done with this shit. Thank you for listening.
All right, we have a couple more people who want to share a little something. Is that? Yeah, all right. Cool.
All right. What's up, y'all? I'm Coley. I'm an addict. All right. So you don't know me. I wanted to share something real quick that hit me hard. A couple of you guys I've shared before. Shared this with a couple of people. And let me go ahead and read this. It hits me hard every time, and this is how real it is. And I really like to say, like, it keeps, for y'all, I went through the 28-day program. When I got here, I came from Baltimore City. I came here, I was pretty messed up in the game, but I've been to 12 different recovery organizations. This is my 13th time around, and so it's just been the same old thing my whole life, and I've traveled all the East Coast, all the way down the East Coast, from Maine all the way to Florida, New York City, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. I lived D.C., Baltimore. I lived all Jacksonville, Clearwater, Tampa, and I always ended up like I was running from. I was like just creating a new life, but always ended up in doing drugs in the hood and then in like recovery. It was like one day I had a pool on my roof. I was doing really well. I always do really good, and then just throw it all away. So McShin told me I've never really been clean. I've been clean 22 months this month. So yeah, thank you. So, and I feel like this time it's like I have a couple things I want to share. So I ran the intensive program for like 9 months, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people on the streets. Like in Baltimore City, it's pretty savage out there. Like people are a lot further along in the game out there. It's like 5 square miles of abandoned buildings, and just people like it's just I can't really explain it, but people are going to death basically. They're just ride or die. They've got holes in them. I've seen what fentanyl has done from like the turn from heroin to fentanyl. It's like a bomb. I mean, it's like zombie nation, holes in everybody, maggots in them, putting people in walls, okay? We putting people in walls out there, straight up. So when I came to McShin, it was like stay out of the wall tour. That's what it was. My boy called me. He's like, yeah, it's 2021, stay out of the wall tour. Because I knew I was going to the wall, but I felt like I really didn't care, man, like when I was out there. It's just a matter of time, but whoever puts me is going to work for it. But I OD'd like 13 times out there, and that I remember. Sometimes I didn't even know I was Narcan. But, yeah, so anyways, I feel like the game has changed. I used to get my weight up and then, like, go. Like, when it was heroin, like, and all that, like, I'd get my weight up, and I'd go do real well, and then I'd go get well again, and then go back out and do good. But this time I feel like, like, I have a daughter I got to live for. I got people that I have to live for, and it's not about just me anymore, but not that I was always careless, like, I really don't care about much, and that's one of my character defects. I just don't care. I'm careless. Every time I put a needle in my arm, I know I might die in a couple minutes. Do I care? Not really. I'll find out. Boom. And so, this time around, I realized when I got here, not only is the level of the game higher, people dying all around me, but I have to choose to want to live. I have to be determined to want that, right? And I was sharing this morning. A man like mankind has two lives. The second life begins when he realizes he has one life. So that hit me hard. A man has two lives. The second life begins when he realizes he has only one life. And I'm here realizing like that's kind of like that hit me hard when I made that decision to live different. And anyway, so I'm gonna tell you this guy. This guy that came through intensive with me, he was set to do a lot of big things. I was going to make him a driver. I was going to make him, help him be a driver, put him on to be work at McShin eventually. He's had a lot of potential. He was in a coma and non-responsive. He went back out. He just came to me one day. He's like, I'm leaving. I'm moving to my whatever. I have this plan. And I was like, all right, that's suspect because you're just up and leaving. But he just wrote me this message. He said, hey, man, I actually just got out of the hospital. I had a bad batch of coke mixed with a horse tranquilizer and went into cardiac arrest. They worked on me for 10 minutes before getting me back. But after 2 weeks in the cardiac care unit, I'm doing much better and was released home the other day. Please tell everyone you know to be careful what they decide to use or do. It's in everything now. Hope you are well, brother. So, I love drugs, man. I love them. And I was told when I was a young kid that, some things in life are too good to do again. And it's okay that I love drugs, but I just don't partake in them now. I've literally convinced myself they don't exist on this planet. Like, I wish they did. That sucks. That's what I do in my own head. Like, it's not an option because they don't exist, right? So, let me just share this with you too, so then I'll pass it off to someone else. So this hits me hard because I feel like oftentimes we forget. It's easy to forget the pain. It's easy to forget the doom I felt every morning. All right, here it is. All right, ready? So I'm going to read this real quick, and then I'm going to pass this off, but see what you guys think. I destroy homes, tear families apart, take your children, and that's just the start. I'm more costly than diamonds, more costly than gold. The sorrow I bring is a sight to behold. And if you need me, remember, I'm easily found. I live all around you in schools and in town. I live with the rich, I live with the poor. I live down the street and maybe next door. My power is awesome. Try me, you'll see. But if you do, you may never break free. Just try me once and I might let you go, but try me twice and I'll own your soul. When I possess you, you'll steal and you'll lie. You'll do what you have to just to get high. The crimes you commit for my narcotic charms will be worth the pleasure you'll feel in your arms. You'll lie to your mother, you'll steal from your dad. When you see their tears, you should feel sad. But you'll forget your morals and how you were raised. I'll be your conscience, I'll teach you my ways. I take kids from parents and parents from kids. I turn people from God and separate from friends. I'll take everything from you, your looks and your pride. I'll be with you always, right by your side. You'll give up everything, your family, your home, your friends, your money, and then you'll be alone. I'll take and I'll take till you have nothing more to give. When I'm finished with you, you'll be lucky to live. If you try me, be warned, it is no game. If given the chance, I will drive you insane. I'll ravish your body, I'll control your mind. I'll own you completely, your soul will be mine. The nightmares I'll give you while lying in bed, the voices you'll hear from inside your head, the sweats, the shakes, the visions you'll see. I want you to know these are all gifts from me. But then it's too late and you'll know in your heart that you are mine and we shall not part. You'll regret that you tried me, they always do. But you came to me, not I to you. You knew this would happen, many times you were told, but you challenged my power and chose to be bold. You could have said no and just walked away. If you could live that day over, now what would you say? I'll be your master, you'll be my slave. I'll even go with you when you go to your grave. Now that you have met me, what will you do? Will you try me or not? Again, it's all up to you. I can bring you more misery than words can tell. Just one more time. Come take my hand. Let me lead you to hell.
Heather. It's kind of ironic that you did poems. I have a poem I wanted to share. I want to tell you a little bit about how it came about, though. I was in jail, and I tried to take my life. I took a razor to my neck. And I ended up in Western State Hospital for it. The whole time I was on the way there, and for the first probably week or so, I had made up my mind that I would just get through the hospital, get through the jail sentence, and I had plenty of connects. I could just go get some dope, heroin, fentanyl, whatever, and it would be over. I knew it would work. It's happened before. I've been revived. And I had lost all hope, and I didn't see a future. I didn't want to live. So about a week into being in the hospital, I started to think of new options, and that's where coming here kind of came into play. I knew that I couldn't go back home. I knew that I couldn't keep going down the same cycle. But I wrote this poem while I was there. The struggle is real, more than just an ordeal. Trying so hard not to feel, wishing for a better deal. But the cards you were dealt are your own personal hell. You can't fake it that well. It's a story you can't tell. Because the words that you speak bring you down to your knees. Beg for mercy if you please. It's more than just a disease. More than the choices you make, or the smile that you fake. More than the paths that you take, it's your soul that's at stake. When you think it's all done and the battle is won, you relapse and get spun, and now you're back at square one. Wishing it would all just end, not knowing how to defend. You find a blade to dig in, hoping never to wake again. But you're here for a reason, and not just for a season. Your relationship with Jesus starts to grow and starts to deepen. You begin to find your hope in things other than dope. You learn new ways to start to cope. Your life takes an upward slope. You learn that when you fall, you don't have to lose it all. Though the setback may not be small, you can still get up and stand tall. Stand tall you do, knowing your life is not through. Facing struggles anew, but you get through them, you do.
Thank you for sharing. All right. John, did you want to say something? We got we're about 4 minutes, so you can go ahead and take that. And say a little something if you'd like before I end it.
Hi, everybody. I usually don't like talking, right? But I want to say this. When I first came here to McShin, I came from prison. I did the 14 weeks program from McShin in jail before I came here. But when I first got here, I started doing stuff too fast. I ended up relapsing January. I had 13 months clean, I relapsed in January. I came back, and I realized that I can't do this no more. You know what I'm saying? Because all I'm going to do is kill myself. You know, just one step away from death. You know, but now, you know, I'm thinking straight. I'm not making no decisions, no bad decisions or nothing like that. And if I feel a certain type of way, I got a support group, people to talk to. I got a sponsor. But see, what I got a problem with is life. You know, when life shows up, man, that shit hurts for real. You know what I mean? And the devil was like really busy. You know, the devil was at me not last night, but yesterday. And my daughter sent me a text, and she was like, "I'm not your daughter," blah blah blah, da 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 da. So you know, I felt like saying something back or texting something bad like, "Shut up, I'm your father," blah blah blah. I just sent her a scripture from the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And left it like that, you know. Because I never was disrespectful to my parents. You know, but, you know, these kids nowadays, they're disrespectful. You know, so for me to follow her up, I'd be just as bad as her if I would argue with my own child. So I got to let her be where she at. You know what I'm saying? Let her grow up. And then maybe she might want to talk to me, and maybe I might want to talk to her. Thank you for letting me share.
All right, so it's about to end. Thank y'all all for sharing. I believe everybody has got a story, not only that they could tell, but may help somebody else. And it takes a lot sometimes to tell a little bit about yourself to people you don't know. So for everybody who shared, thank you. And thank y'all for bearing with us, or me in general, for this Sunday morning meeting. And I'm going to leave you with one little thing that says, smile more than you cry, give more than you take, and love more than you hate. Y'all have a good morning and happy Sunday. Thank y'all.